Morning. Don't be a Jerry. Don't be a Jerry. That's hysterical. Our featured artist today is Edwin Lester. You have paintings on both sides of the room in celebration of our Black History Month. He's an underknown artist who is a Christian artist who's African American and who's just doing some fantastic art. If you want to follow him, you can follow him on Instagram at artist Edwin Lester. It might be good for you to look this up. If you're watching online, you can't see the pictures, so look up Edwin Lester, The Walk, and you'll be able to see the pictures that we're talking about. We have some exciting news here. We have a men's recovery meeting that we've been working on for a while. We are officially starting it on Tuesday night, February 27th, okay? Tuesday night, February 27th. I said the date wrong like 10 times in the first service. So Tuesday night, February 27th in El Centro at 7 p.m. So this is a 12-step group, but it is distinctly Christian in its nature, all right? So we won't be using generic higher power language. It'll be very clear that we're talking about Jesus, and so it's absolutely essential. So if this is a space that you would like to come to or be part of, or if you're struggling with some type of life-controlling problem, over at El Centro, Tuesday night starting February 27th at 7 p.m. So we're continuing our series called Broke. Woo, Broke. Look at the screen if you would. We're making progress, right? So last week, Pastor Jesse had like negative $3,000, and this week is only $900. He's making progress. He's got a little bit in savings, a little bit in checking, making progress there. So good job, Pastor Jesse, back there. Not true. This is not true. I'm just making that up. All right, so think about the most broke that you've ever been. And some of these are funny memories, and some of these are painful memories. Think about the funny memories, okay? So some of you have some crazy stories, some fun stories that would be interested in hearing. But one of the crazy broke stories was when I was younger, was the field trips with school. The school field trips, they were the worst because we would drive from my backwoods town in Indiana all the way over to Indianapolis, and we'd go to like a museum or something, and all the kids were excited because we're going to stop at McDonald's on the way back. But they didn't give you money for McDonald's. You had to bring your own money. And that was a less socially, emotionally sensitive era in teaching, okay? So they weren't like checking to make sure. Like if you didn't have money, you didn't get food, right? That's how it worked. And so I could remember we'd stop at McDonald's. Everybody would be so excited to get off the bus, but I didn't have any money. So you do what you do, which is you go sit, and you be a social butterfly, and you borrow your friend's French fries. That's what you do in these. You just kind of go bounce, 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 bounce until you're full. So I would like to say today that we need to move. This series is really about helping us to move out of that borrow your friend's French fries stage of life into a financially full, abundant, and free life. Okay, so that's the direction that we're heading here. There might be a season when you got to borrow your friend's French fries, but let's not stay in that season. Proverbs chapter 11, our theme verse for the series is, when the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. When the wicked perish, there are shouts of joy. Interesting that there's two types of rejoicing, one for the righteous and one for the wicked. Like when the wicked die, the people rejoice. Through the blessing of the upright is the city is exalted, but by the mouth of the wicked it is destroyed. So we have this idea here that when the righteous, which hopefully we are becoming righteous, are prospering, that it benefits all. There is peace and shalom in the city, and the city can rejoice in the midst of that. So that is something that we should be concerned about and something that we should move forward in our life. So we're going through 4 choices that we learn in Scripture to live a financially blessed life. Choice number 1 was choose hustle over hoping, which is just basically work hard, work hard. Then choice number 2 is choosing a plan over just your feelings or your passions, choosing a plan over passion, which means basically get on a budget, automate your finances, live below your means, and so you're moving forward with that. And so today we're moving on to 3. Number 3 today is this. Third choice that you can make is to choose discipline over debt. Tell your neighbor, choose discipline. Now, most people, when they wake up in the morning, when they're looking at their task list for the day, it doesn't say, discipline myself, right? So discipline's not a favorite topic, but when we're going to become financially free and live in financial blessing, we need to choose discipline over debt. With over $1 trillion in credit card debt, last week we talked about that. America's at the highest debt it's ever been for credit card debt, over $1 trillion. Another report came out this week that made it even a little higher than last week. We're not going down. We're still going up like this. In a minute, we're going to be at $2 trillion in credit card debt in the United States. Right now, the average American has over $6,000 in credit card debt. And the fundamental problem with that is that the skill sets that you need to not go into debt are oftentimes the skill sets you need to get out of debt, which means those people aren't going to get out of debt unless you get the skill sets that you need. Okay? So if you're one of those people, it's okay, no shame. We're just going to start the process. And I can't say that firmly enough. There is no shame in telling the truth. You tell the truth, you be free, you make progress. That's how this works. A couple of years ago, a husband and wife came in to see me. They were torn up. They were a hot mess. And the husband, had just told his wife that he was in trouble with some pretty significant things. And so he comes clean. And he's so ashamed, his head's down, the whole thing. And once he was done, and the crying and the confessing, it's all out. He's all out there. I'm like, this is great news. This look, did you hear me right? No. This is great news because for the first time in 20 years, you were honest. You told the truth. Now we can do something with the truth. We can build a future on the truth. You can't build a future on lies. You can only build a future on the truth. And so part of this is just being honest. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 17, he replied, because you have so little faith, truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, now think about this, $1 trillion in debt. That's a mountain. You could build a mountain out of the coins that would take $1 trillion. Right? We can't even imagine how much $1 trillion is, let alone $1 billion or $1 million. It's an enormous amount of money. Jesus said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, imagine all that debt, move from here to there, and it will move. Now, people get excited about that idea. Amen. Pastor Kurt, are you saying, did I hear you right? Are you saying that if I have faith, I can say to that mountain of financial debt, move from here to there? I am, and it will move. Jesus continued, nothing will be impossible for you. Those last two words there, for you. I want you to hold on to that. For you. Nothing will be impossible for you. A lot of times when we're thinking about faith and moving mountains, what we are hoping will happen is that God will go, move from here to there. Right? We're hoping God does it. We're hoping for the $35,000 check in the mail to go from here to there. Like, Lord, I prayed, I'm checking my mail faithfully every day. And if you turn on certain television stations, you're going to hear that message. But I'm going to tell you right now that most of the time, what it means is that God gives you a barrel and a shovel. Amen. God equips you, he authorizes you, and empowers you to get to work moving that mountain. Sometimes he sends a friend, sometimes he sends a mentor, sometimes he sends some helpers to help you, but it is the faith that you have that in fact God is with you in the process of moving this giant mountain of debt, because there's a skill set that you need to learn. There's a skill set that I need to learn. If God sends us that check to kind of bail us out, a month later, you're going to be back in debt. Okay, that's how it works. That's how it works. Because you don't have the skill set. But when God equips you, empowers you, and authorizes you, and gives you a barrel and a shovel, you can just get to work, right? Now, it's slow. But after you've moved that whole mountain, guess what you're not doing again? You're not going to go back so that you have to do this anymore. You're going to keep yourself out of debt. You're going to start having financial freedom and abundance in all the areas of your life. So, don't despise the barrel and the shovel, because that's how you're going to get out of this. The problem with debt is this. You can never begin to invest in your future when you are in debt because you're paying for your past. You can't invest in your future because you're paying for your past. You're literally living life backwards. You made all these decisions like in your early 20s, and you're just kind of living the high life, doing whatever you want to do. Everybody else is doing it. Your friends are doing it. Everybody's going broke at the same rate. And you end up having to pay for your life that you already lived, sacrificing your future. It's like you're aging yourself twice as fast, like financially, and you run yourself out of time. So that's why debt is such a problem, because you're living your life backwards, the wrong way. This is how this works. On the screen, we have a beautiful, some people think it's beautiful. I just think it looks weird, but a $3,000 purse, right? Louis Vuitton. It was such a nice purse. Why has it got to have Louis Vuitton all over it? I don't understand that. But anyhow, $3,000. My guess is that when you buy it, it's not going up in value after you start using it. It's probably not an investment. It's like a luxury item. But for some of you, whether it be a Louis Vuitton purse or a certain pair of shoes, I'm trying to get the guys in here too, certain sneakers, right? So that you're paying $3,000, but you're like, hold on, those things are going to go up in value. All right, whatever. But here's the problem. When you can't afford this, you swipe the card or you go into debt in some capacity. You have $3,000 and you bought it, but you couldn't afford it. And so you're just going to be like, well, I'm just going to pay for it over time. I'll just put it, and you start making the minimum payments on that. That $3,000 purse turns into a purse that costs you $8,190. That's what happens, okay? Don't buy the purse, right? Not that one, okay? Not that one. Why is this so hard? We all know this is a problem. So far, I've not told you anything you didn't know already, right? You already know this. Why is this so hard? Because we are sinful in nature. All of us, I'm not just pointing at you and you. We're born with original sin. We're born already ruined. We are born with this thing within us that chooses the wrong things regularly. We want the things that we really shouldn't want. I call this the law of inappropriate attractions. And it applies to like every area in our life. Every human is attracted to things, and either wants or desires or people or whatever it happens to be. We all have attractions that aren't appropriate. We all have attractions that will harm us and not help us. We all have attractions that are outside God's plan and God's purposes. We all do. So the attraction itself is universal. What we do with it is what matters. Okay? And so because of our sinful nature, it is hard for us to do these things. So our sinful nature is literally fighting against us, trying to keep us in debt, trying to keep us from being financially free. So our self is working against us, as is society. Proverbs chapter 22 says this: the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. For real, friends, the rich rule over the poor. During the pandemic, the wealthiest people in the world, which is just a handful of people, their net worth increased at over $1 million for every $1 that your increase net worth was. So for every dollar you increased, they increased over $1 million. Oh, that helps you understand kind of that we have a complicated system, right? It's complicated and it's broken and it's difficult. So it's really important that we do the basics really well so that we're not stuck in a really problematic state. It is a modern, broken economic system, and it takes discipline to not go into debt. It takes discipline to choose not to go into debt. Reality is we're failing at a rapid rate as a culture because of instant gratification and convenience. Somebody say convenience. Convenience. Now, this is the new one. 20 years ago, if I preached this message, convenience really wouldn't have been in the theme. But convenience is suddenly a major reason that people go into debt. Okay? Convenience of, remember when you used to have to go to Blockbuster? For those of you that aren't old enough to remember that, you it was Friday, so on the way home from work or after you ordered your pizza, you would go down and you go to Blockbuster, spend 45 minutes picking out a movie. They're getting it home. It was a horrible movie. It was complicated, okay? But it was a whole process. And then there was Netflix subscriptions, in the mail stuff. And now you're watching online and you ran out. You watched all the Netflix shows. You watched everything on Amazon Prime. Now you got to order Peacock and AMC, and you have so many convenient subscriptions that you lose track of how much money we're actually spending on these things. So convenience is a major issue. Another issue that's happening is things, very simply, think about Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all these things, right? I'm coming after everybody today, don't worry. I'm coming after everybody. All right. Think about errands, okay? The rental places, these are designed to keep you in poverty, okay? All this stuff, because it's not conspiracy theory stuff, this is just how finances work. So when you choose convenience, okay, in these moments, you're actually driving yourself into debt. You're like, oh, but I need that Uber to go 3/4 of a mile. Do you? But it's raining. Make another plan. Get a friend. Do something. Here's what's going on. We are treating time like it's more valuable than money. Don't treat time like it's more valuable than money until it actually is. And here's how you know. If something saves you 10 minutes of time and costs you $100, then your time had better make you more than $100 for that 10 minutes. So if 10 minutes you can make $200, fine, save the time. But if it doesn't, check yourself, stand up, drive to Blockbuster, or whatever it happens to be, whatever the thing is, okay? Romans chapter 13. This is a fascinating verse because there's this weaving of faith and finances in it. Romans 13:8 says, give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. I'm not going to land there, but it said what it said. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Let no debt remain outstanding, except for the continuing debt to love one another, for whoever loves others has fulfilled the law. The passage is interesting because the author is integrating this conversation about money and faith. He's weaving it together. To be good at one, you need to be good at the other. To be good at finances but not faith is not enough. To be good at faith but not finances is not enough because they're connected. It's like a double helix on the screen. You have this idea one strand is faith, one strand is finances, and they are interconnected. They impact each other. Or rather, it's that there is this especially unique connection between how we approach finances and how legitimate our faith actually is. It's one of those things that gives us like a thermostat. It's a thermometer of sorts. It's like a checkup. We can check ourselves to see how we're doing. Like, which God are we serving? The God of money or the God of the universe? Right? Which one? It kind of helps us. In fact, if you've never given yourself a spiritual checkup, like to see how you're doing, I'm going to give you 5 ways right now, really fast, that you can self-assess how you are doing spiritually. There's 5 things, and you can just scale yourself 1 to 10. How am I doing? 1 being bad, 10 being amazing. So the first one is, and it's these 5 G's: grace, growth, groups, gifts, and good stewardship. There's 5 things. The first one is grace. What this means is that, have you accepted and embraced the grace of God through Jesus Christ? Have you asked Jesus to forgive you of your sins and to lead your life? Have you joined the family of God through Jesus? That's what it means. And if you've done that, are you now helping others to experience the grace of God? Right? So that's all there. Like, you can just check the box. How am I doing with that grace? Growth is, are you making spiritual progress and taking personal responsibility for that growth? And are you able to self-resource yourself so that you can grow spiritually? Third is group. Are you in a discipleship-oriented relationship with other followers of Jesus? You see, this is how you know. This is one of those major categories. See, everybody needs to be in biblical community. But biblical community is not just hanging out with each other. It's both fellowship and discipleship. It's both. And this is a challenge for most Christians. You see, every group, every community, every church is supposed to be both a family and an army. Every group, every community, every church has 2 distinct functions. A family function where we care, we have compassion, we celebrate, and we tell the truth. Like, that's the family side. The military side is freedom, justice, healing, and truth also. So it's this 2-side. We're supposed to be both at the same time, and that's critical. So group, how are you doing with that? Gifts. This is meaning you've identified your God-given gifts, and you're using them to the glory of God and to the benefit of other people. So identifying and use. How are you doing? And fifthly is good stewardship. This is getting into the financial space. Are you experiencing financial freedom, and are you able to joyfully honor the biblical financial ethics and directives of Scripture? How are you doing? Again, I can't answer that for you. You can look at these things and see how you're doing. And then you can decide, here's where I'm at, this is where I need to improve, and this is where I can excel. What's interesting about these 5 is that they are all interconnected, like that double helix idea, or the staves on a barrel. Every one impacts the other, and so we're working on all of them at the same time, making progress with them. So here's the action step for choosing discipline over debt today. This is really simple. This is not going to surprise you that I'm saying this. It is simply to radically cut your expenses and increase your savings and pay down your debt. Okay? How do you do that? Real practical here, real practical. First, buy used. Why do you need to buy new things? Some things you want to buy new. I'm not saying go buy used underwear, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. But for real, used cars, just fine. Used lots of things, just fine. This is why thrift stores exist, particularly the loft at Stetson. But second, eliminate. I'm going to hide in a second. I'm afraid I'm going to get things thrown at me. But eliminate at least one streaming service. Just you literally, that might be the most important spiritual decision of your life today, is just clicking cancel, right? Okay. Second, plan your meals plan your meals and snacks. Fourth, shift the way you do coffee. 5, downgrade your cable plan. People, when I try to help people with this, I'm like, let me see your cable bill. And they're like, they drop their head like, I know, I could have sent my kid to college for free, but I wanted cable, right? Pay no more than $30 a month for your phone plan, your cell phone plan. So somebody got one, good. Here's one. Order your groceries online and pick it up. Don't deliver it. Okay, for real, everybody, listen. This is now proven. It's been around long enough that they've proven it. If you order your groceries online, you will just order what's on your list, right? Unless you're a psycho, right? So you're just gonna order what's on. But if you go in person with your list, do you know what happens when I go to the grocery store? Yeah, so I can go to the grocery store in person for a $7 item. I will walk out of that store with $77 in snacks. All right? That's what's going to happen if I go. Order groceries online, pick them up, don't have them delivered. That's a whole other area of financial chaos. Always the things like coupons and stuff like that, of course, are still around. Choose cheaper hobbies. If you have hobbies that are really expensive, it's okay to say, hey, I know I want to treat myself, but I need to get out of debt first. I'm going to choose cheaper hobbies. Carpool, take the extra effort to make sure you get out of debt and that you can work on the fundamentals. And then, of course, make extra money. You're like, well, how do you just make extra money? Well, there's lots of ways to make extra money. Okay, we live in an economy that allows you to do that. But when my wife and I were going through this process several years ago, back when Building 19 was around, for those of you that are real inners, you know what Building 19 is? I would go down every Monday, I would buy things, I would post them on eBay and sell them that week. And we would make hundreds and hundreds of dollars a week to get out of debt. And then lastly, and there takes a discipline here that's hard, and this is stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. What does that mean? That means don't try to live somebody else's life. Live your life. Excel at your life. Excel at what's in your lane and stay out of somebody else's lane. Chances are their lane is making them broke. So there's no need to go in their lane. My wife and I, don't try to live somebody else's life. My wife and I recently went on a short vacation. We went down to Florida for a few days. And you know how we decided this? We looked, because Google helps you look at this stuff. We looked and found the week that it was cheapest to fly. We chose the cheapest week to fly in the year. So we left on Sunday after church, which was also the cheapest time on that particular thing to fly. We flew down, we borrowed a car, we stayed in my parents' condo, we bought groceries at the grocery store, made coffee at home. Basically, it cost us less to go on vacation than to live our regular life, okay? So it was absolutely wild. Well, could we have done something else? Could we have gone and done something that some people might think is cooler? We could have, but we stayed in our lane, and it was perfectly fine. It was an excellent time because we have other financial priorities. Idea here is this. Stay in your lane. Choose discipline over debt. And if you need help getting started, okay, we have something for you here. Carla, Stephanie, why don't you come on up, please? I wasn't sure if they probably thought I wasn't calling them up. Sorry about that. All right. Oh, man. All right. Stephanie and Carla, why don't you introduce yourselves to everybody?
I'm Carla. That's it? What's your name?
I'm Stephanie.
All right.
Oh, you wanted me to say that?
I don't know, like a little background.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Carla.
Make that touch your chin.
My chin.
Just touch your chin with it.
So I can use the microphone that much. Yeah, I'm Carla. I've been in Lynn for a really long time.
The blue one. Blue.
Can you turn it on?
Look at that.
There we go. Yep, go ahead.
Hello. Oh, look at that. All right, so I'm Carla. I've lived in Lynn ever since I've lived in Lynn for over 20 years. And
You guys have known each other for 20 years. You
For
ladies
20
for
years.
20 years.
This year, actually, I was doing the math. This year. It is. We met 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm Stephanie, and this is my best friend, Carla.
That's what she wanted me to say.
Yes. And,
You missed your chance. You missed your chance. Okay, so Carla and Stephanie are in our a group that we have here at the church. It's a financial cohort group that tell us about this financial cohort group.
All right. Well, I wanted to give a little background first because I think it's important. But this idea of the cohort, it goes back to around 2018. And I found myself in a really tough financial situation and just have been doing it my way, whatever that way was. I actually can't even remember my way of doing money. And I'm a single mama, so single mamas out there, what's up? And it was tough, and I'm like, I can't do this by myself. So my best friend, who I really trust, I just brought her in and had her look at what was going on. And kind of what was the pivotal point was even doing like a financial inventory. I'd never even done that. So we did that together and came up with a budget. And when I tell y'all, we used color-coded pens. It was just red every week, just every week, red. So depressing. But the point was like, keep going. Like just because there was red, we just kept going. We kept meeting and changed some things of the way I did things. And she got a front row seat to God being so awesome. Like just the math, okay? The math did not make sense. And over time, we saw miracle after miracle after miracle. And hard work, y'all, like discipline and hard work and miracles. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was awesome to bring my best friend in to that.
So part of the moving of mountains and having faith is that God equips you, authorizes you, empowers you to like start moving the mountain. But along the way, it's like he throws these bonus miracles in, right? That's 100% true. That's what really happens in these situations. So tell us about your experience here with all this.
With the
Cohort.
So in
To
our
the chin.
cohorts, we just take time because we're not, in the cohort doing this know-all, like we know everything and we are perfect, in our finances. We are actually doing the things with the people in our groups. And so in there, we do budgets together. We hold each other accountable because we have found that, like, you can make a budget and like toss it. You toss it, or you forget about it, or you, I don't know.
Give up.
You look back at
You
it,
give up.
you
You give up.
Once 1 week doesn't make sense, and so we just come together. There's things that like Stephanie might be doing great in her group, like meal planning. You guys, she got the meal planning down,
y'all.
okay? Because I was the person that went to the store with a list and bought all the snacks instead. But meals, things like I'm not sure why this. I'm spending more than I'm making. And so we're able to do that together and then hold each other accountable because when you have, somebody else to answer to or sharing your wins or what wasn't working, you are likely to stick to them more than if you kind of are like keeping it to yourself. You won't, you don't hold yourself accountable, but if there's other people there, you will.
So what are some of the challenges you face inside the cohort? Like what's hard to do?
So I will say one of the things that we covered in the classes that we held before the cohort started was about being honest. And so we just wanted to like kind of say from the beginning, for me and Carla, she's my best friend, so it was very easy to do that. But you don't have to be best friends to share about finances. Like money talk is spiritual talk. And so we're breaking that boundary first, that mindset, like breaking that mindset that money doesn't have to be this hush-hush thing. It doesn't have to bring shame. Like shame stays outside. It's not welcome here. So just being honest, I found that people talking to other people about money was a very strange concept. And so when we broke that, I feel like we made a lot of progress.
So it's not a free-for-all, though, right? So it's not a free-for-all like where people can say whatever dumb money idea they have, right? There's a focus. There's a very intentional way that we're moving people forward on this. And it's a real question. is it working?
It is definitely working. We, we take an inventory of like, hey, like where are you financially? Do you have an emergency fund? What is your debt? And we create these goals where we like added our totals, where do we want to be in a few months, in a year? And we saw people build their emergency fund. We saw people, even if it was like, somebody like saved this, like a little bit of money and they were like, oh, I just saved this much, but that's a win. You probably didn't even realize that you would have done that if you didn't, write your budget down. We paid off debt. A lot of people were paying off debt, and so it's probably been like 3 months maybe, and we were able to see those changes. So we're excited to see, by the end of the year what that looks like.
So I actually don't know who's in the cohort except for the people that have come up on stage so far. But I do know that the total debt has come down several $1,000s, and emergency funds has gone up significantly. And so the two major things, the two major levers for your life financially are those two at the beginning. And so that's working in a way that before wasn't working. When we were just doing like sermons and classes, people were like, that's awesome, I should do that.
Right.
Never, right? So someday. This is the way to say, okay, now I can actually do it and I have help doing it.
Correct.
Okay? Yep. Good. All right. So how do people get part of this, become part of this?
So you can sign up for the Freedom classes. So first we do these 4 weeks, I believe it is, 4 weeks of Freedom classes where we go over a lot of principles that you may have not heard of, why we're even doing this in the first place. We're not just trying to be millionaires just to be millionaire. We want to be financially free for many reasons. But in this group, you'll go over all of those things. Then we have a budget cohort, so there's two parts to this. And the budget cohort will basically put into practical steps or like action what you learned. And so in there, we will get down and, what was we saying? Get financially naked is the word, or like really get to work on those principles, like really just put those things down and how to actually become free, because it sounds pretty, but it's not actually pretty to actually get it done.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. The worship team can come on back up. We'll wrap up here. Thank you, Carla and Stephanie. Thank you for all those of you that are in the cohort for this kind of first round of it. We really do think that we are going to move this forward. We're gonna for anybody that wants to move forward in this is a way for you to move forward. For those of you that for whatever reason it's really complicated for you to get in that room, there's another opportunity for you at moneycanvas.com. It is a free service for you. moneycanvas.com. You go, you can sign up. You'll get a one-on-one coach that will help you it's 100% free, and it's 3 sessions that will help you kind of get kind of a shot in the arm to move forward. I would encourage you to take a look at that. Now, is all of this designed so that we can all just start buying Louis Vuitton purses? This is not that. This is back to the beginning, verse Proverbs 11:10. When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. We have a city that we would love to see rejoice, and that will require the righteous in that city, our city, to prosper. And so let's work on that together. Would you stand with me as we close today? One more week of this. Next week, come on back. We'll tackle the next major choice in this. If there's something today that you would like to just invite God into, if you would like to invite God into the process of moving that mountain in your life, to make wise decisions, to surrender this area of your life, that's fine. If there's any area that you'd like to talk to God about today, please do. The altars are always open. Spend some time in prayer as the worship team leads us in a song.